Hey guys, what's up? Soup here. So today I have a pretty serious topic for you guys to talk about. Now it's not going to be RS related, but I told Brian, Unreal's RS, his link, his channel will be in the description, that I'd make a video response to a video he made, and basically he talked about a pretty serious topic like what happens after you die, and like what religion has to do with what happens after you die, and how those two things are related. And that's not like the whole point of this video, but it was a pretty one of the serious points. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody has a phase in their life or some point in their life where they just lay down or they could be doing anything and they just think, why are we here? Like, what happens after we die? And those two things that just confuse everyone, and there's just so many opinions and thoughts and controversy and conversations about these two topics. And I just sort of want to talk about it with you guys. And what I would love is I could have, some civilized discussion in the comments about this topic. I want to hear you guys' opinions as well. I would love just to see what you guys have to say about this. And, remember, don't take offense to anything I say. It's just my opinion, and everybody has their own opinion. So, this is more of a personal note. I grew up in a family where both my parents, so my parents, mom and dad, so my grandparents on both sides, they both went to church every Sunday. Now, of course, one side of my family is from Europe, from Germany, so I'm pretty much almost all German, and but they still went to the church every Sunday, uh, and they were Catholic. Um, Now, they weren't devout Catholics. You could actually say they were Christian as well, but I know those are pretty much different things. But they went to church and they believe in God. And on my other parents' side of the family, they're pretty much they're not devout Catholics either, but they are, they're Catholics. They go to church every Sunday. They do follow some rules that the Catholic Church, prescribes. Let's just say that. And yeah, so of course, there you go. My grandparents are on both sides are, religious. Now, on one parent, now I'm not gonna be giving out names and stuff, and giving out too much personal information. But one parent married the other, of course, which is why I'm here. And um, one of my parents is actually an atheist. Now, I've been to church twice in my whole life. I've never actually gone. I've never been week to church on a weekly basis. And the two times I went to church, once was for I went with one of my friends because I wanted to see what it was like. I sort of want to get an experience of what church was like. Now it wasn't the singing every single second, and let's all start crying and praise God and just feel His power in ourselves. That's not what it was. It was a sermon, and it was a pretty interesting topic, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, of course, there was some singing, and there was some quotes and passages we did all read aloud that had to do with God. Um, and I didn't necessarily agree with all these, but I did it, just out of respect. And that sort of led me to think, like, what does like this is the I think I was 13 when I first went to the church for the first time, and that's maybe the first time I thought, what happens after you die? And of course, I know everyone, and even I really hope that after you die, you do go to some better place. You go to a place, where you can live again. Because I know everybody, they don't even when like of course everybody's gonna die at one point, but they don't want when they die that they just lose everything and they worked their whole life for some things and they don't want that to go to waste because when they die, like nobody knows what happens. So of course everyone wants to go to a better place where you can remember your friends, your family. You can keep working on maybe what you were doing and before you died. And as much as I want that as well, like I honestly don't see that happening. Now of course I could be wrong. Um, I hope there is a place you go after you die, but honestly I haven't seen any evidence whatsoever that there is a place you go after you die. Of course, there is the occasional person who apparently dies and then comes back to life, and they all of a sudden they met God and they went to heaven and all this. Now, again, I can't say they're wrong, but you can't say they're right either. And that's the thing that gets to me. Now, what you're probably wondering, okay, so what do you believe after you like? What do you believe happens when you die? I believe you just become part of the ground. Become part of nature. Now, I would what you. I'm not an atheist. Like I wouldn't say I'm total atheist, but I would call myself more of an agnostic person. And if you guys wonder what agnosticism is, and of course, it is sort of categorized in the same group as non-religious people slash atheist people. But you're not. Atheist is basically saying you don't believe in anything. There's no higher power. You just when you die, you become part of the ground. You become basically you're just dead. Now, agnosticism is you don't believe in God. You don't believe in any of those of the gods that are around right now. Let's just say it like that. Um, but you do believe there's a higher power out there. There's a higher deity, and that's what I believe in. I do believe there is something out there that is a higher power, or is fuck, I just messed that up, or is better than us. Or not necessarily better, but at a higher power than we are. And some, I mean, some people believe that as well, but of course they believe that it's in the form of God, or it's in the form of what they believe in. Now, the reason I would say I'm agnostic is because I don't want to count out that there's a higher power out there. That's why I'm mostly agnostic. But you know, I just I see religion as unnecessary. Of course, it does. It can be an amazing thing for some people, and it really is. But I just see it as something unnecessary because it causes wars, it causes arguments, it causes people to be killed, and like that's not what religion's about. I mean, every religion believes, oh, peace between all, don't kill anyone, um, like follow the beliefs and you'll be fine. But honestly, it's just led to so much hate and wars and unnecessary people dying. There's so much going on in the Middle East right now because of that, and there's stuff going on all around. Now, I read a book, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, by John Krakauer, and I forgot the name, but it's basically a book about how religion, has affected people in the U.S. and in some cases around the world, but it's mostly about what happens in the U.S. Basically, what happened in that book was, um, two young boys, or not, I think young men, actually killed I think it was a woman and her child, up in the mountains somewhere, and I think in Colorado, because God told them to. That's all they said. They said they killed the woman and the child because God told them to. And that just made me think, like, why would God tell you to kill like a harmless, hopeless woman and child? Like, why would they do that? And I read the book, a couple years ago, so I don't remember all the details of the book, but that just sort of got me thinking, like, maybe there isn't a God. I grew up thinking there was one, just because everyone said that, and I was like, okay, I'll follow the crowd. But after I started, looking stuff up, and of course my dad's atheist, like I said, and that sort of led me to the path of agnosticism, just because I've talked about it with him, and atheism makes, I have to say, it makes more sense than Christianity or Catholic, or there's so many different religions out there that they believe they're right, but how can they be right if there's dozens of other religions that say they're right, It's sort of hard to make sense of, should I say. And that's why I sort of follow agnosticism. Now you're probably saying, okay, well, if you don't believe in anything, but you do believe there's a higher power, like why aren't you just atheist? Well, the only thing that keeps me believing there might be something out there is creation, and everybody has a different opinion of creation. Of course, evolution. I do believe in evolution, but it's just sort of hard to believe. Like, what was everything before it was what it is now? Like, what was the universe before what it is now? It was just nothing. Like, if you think about it, it's just a miracle that we're even alive. Like, if you think about, like, why are we here? Like, what is life? Like, I could lead into so many different topics right now, but I'm just gonna stick to the point. Um, the only thing that keeps me alive is something had to created now. Something had to have created like the Big Bang, or like Brian said, of course, like Brian said, the Big Bang, or the planets, the universe. Um, and that's the only thing that keeps me alive because I just believe something had to create all of that. But of course, evolution is there, and that's what that's what I believe in. I believe in evolution more than I believe in all of the stories about God and Adam and Eve, and even though uh, many religions believe in that, I don't, and that's just my opinion. Of course, I probably have some people watching this video right now who believe in the Adam and Eve stories, and Noah and Moses, and I've seen I saw a funny meme on the internet earlier. It's about it was a joke about I think Catholics, or I forget, it was a religious joke, and it said um like on the top, of course, there's a picture. I forgot what the picture was, but on the top it says, believes evolution is crazy, and then on the bottom it says, believe that every animal in the world fit on a ship. You get it, with Noah. So I found that sort of comical. And yeah, it's true though if you think about it. How can they think? How can like religious people think that atheists are crazy when all this crazy stuff happened with Noah and Moses and the waves spreading apart when he put his hands up, and I always get fucking stomped by the strike worm. Um, so it is sort of weird to think about it, but that's just my opinion on this matter. Now, I would really appreciate if you guys all put your opinions below on this matter, and I definitely like to have civilized conversation in the comments. You rarely see that nowadays, but I would enjoy having that. And please post your opinions, and please like this video if you want to see more of these serious topics. Post a topic below that you guys want me to talk about as well, because I enjoy talking about this stuff. And you guys can pretty much scape and listen. That's actually called that, scape and listen. Somebody probably has that topic name, but I think I'll call it that. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's just my opinion on this matter, and I hope you guys respect it. Hope you guys talk about it in the comments below. And yeah, I guess thanks for bringing this topic up, Brian. And hope you guys have a good day. Please leave a like, and bye.